Government condemns attack inside UN compound in Bor, call for quick investigation into the incident. And church leaders in South Sudan call for peace ahead of Easter festival. Upper Nile State Governor returns to Malakal as security stabilized. A very warm welcome to South Sudan Television. Wherever you have tuned in, we are coming to you live from Juba with the latest news around the country. My name is Garang John. The government has condemned in the strongest term possible the incident in UN compound in Bor town of Jonglei, which occurred on Thursday. In a joint news conference held in Juba on Friday, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Barnaba Marial Benjamin, and that of Information and Broadcasting, Michael Makwelwe, and that of Interior, Alewa Ayenya Leo, said the government would investigate the incident and bring the culprit to book.
In Bor decided not to allow these barges to move ahead for one simple reason, that yes, we have given them the green light to move in our control areas, but what will happen if they reach the rebel control areas? And from here you can move up to Shambe. This is a government control river area, but from Shambe that way up to Malakal is not safe. Some of these areas are in the control along the river, are in the hands of the rebels. So it is another way, according to the youth, this is another way of delivering all this to the rebels, because the rebels will definitely apprehend them. As you know, these people these rebels, they don't respect, they don't know what is UNIMIS or what is UN after all. And this is why last time they attacked the people. As a result, a fight ensued between the youth, the UNIMIS force, and the rebel and the IDPs on one side and the youth on the other side. And that is what resulted into that unfortunate incident of yesterday. In addition to that, the youth, according to our sources, the youth were not. There was another reason which made the youth to write a petition, a protest to UNIMIS compound in Bor. That point was there had been barges have been moved from here loaded with fuel, food items, and other equipment, including I think armors. These barges have been moving.
Never slept for the last 24 hours. Because what had happened is an abuse of the constitutional rights of citizens. Few people who felt that they were celebrating whatever they felt, freedoms in the guaranteed by our constitution, and few people who thought provoked and they were going for a peaceful demonstration, which is also guaranteed, and they were going to petition the authorities who allowed this. It's also guaranteed by our constitution. All of them were exercising their democratic rights. Unfortunately, whoever was in the scene controlled these democratic practices of the citizens, provoked a situation that needs to be investigated.
These are citizens of the Republic of South Sudan, and we will not encourage them killing themselves. And this is not the way to do it. So we strongly condemn this incident, and as said by my colleagues, an investigation will be carried out which will involve the government and UNMISS, so that the reasons that have led and the details that have led to this sad incident, because those dying are our
The Vice President James Wani Iga calls on South Sudanese to shun ethnicity and embrace unity in diversity. Iga made the remark during his meeting with representatives of the IDPs currently seeking refuge at UN compounds in Juba. Henry Jetta has more on the story.
Since last year, 15 of December, Nuer internally displaced persons who are currently taking refuge at UN compounds at Juba, Nabare and Jebel officially met the government of South Sudan and air out challenges facing them. More than 200 families are taking refuge at UN compounds in Juba. The deteriorated conditions of the internally displaced persons across the country was instigated by Riek Machar, who wanted to overthrow an elected government under the leadership of President General Salva Kiir Mayardit. Vice President James Wani Iga, who is also the chairperson for Crisis Management Committee, called for peace, unity and reconciliation in the country. He said the government will provide security and conducive environment if the internally displaced persons return to their respective houses in Juba. The Speaker of the Council of States, Honorable Joseph Bolchan, say many people lost their life during the long civil war to free the nation, and it is now time for South Sudanese communities to live in peace and harmony. He said the government of South Sudan is working hard for peace to be prevailed in the country.
طبعا لو ده تاريخ كده ده بيسجلوا برضه. انا سجلنا الاستقلال يوم 9/7/2011 ونكون عبره لنا ونفهم السؤال ده شنو المفروض نتعلم من ده لانه كمان درس السؤال كويس انت ما بتجاوب كويس تتكلم باللغه بتاع السلام وده شغلانه اللي قاعدين فوق الان مش شغالين بالكلام ده ولما تلاقوا وراهم برضه هم الكوميتي بتاعنا الماشي هناك وراهم اننا جايين بقلب مفتوح عشان نتكلم معاكم كاخواننا.
The Deputy Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Honorable Russell Nyadak, who is working hand in hand with the Committee for Peace Building, say Nuer community who are taking refuge at UN compounds in Juba are standing with the government of South Sudan.
السيد الرئيس لجمهورية جنوب السودان لمن قال إنه مواطنين بتاعه يطلع برا في أونمس بعد نحن شيلنا كمسؤولية فبدينا إنه نعمله إحوار بيناتنا كنوير ونحن نقدر نواجه الحقيقة إنه الحصل حصل لكن جنوب أكبر مننا لو كان جنوب ما أكبر مننا نحن فقدنا 3 مليون ولا 4 مليون في الحرب عشان نحن نلقوا استغلال جنوب السودان لكن ما يأسنا استمرينا وناس ماتوا كتير لكن قلنا حتى لو يفضل إيالنا حيتمتعوا بجنوب السودان.
The occasion was attended by the Minister of Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Martin Elia Lomura, and members from the National Parliament. For SSTV News in Juba, this is Henry Jada John reporting.
Religious leaders in South Sudan appeal for peace and unity as the region join the rest of the world in the commemoration marking the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The church leaders made this plea in their Easter messages extended to South Sudan television in Juba. As yet, Patrick report the clergy urges the faithful to be obedient and live according to the 10 Commandments.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself. This is the message church leaders in South Sudan are telling the citizens as the country experiences a humanitarian crisis triggered by power struggle. The Archbishop of Juba Catholic Archdiocese and the Archbishop of the Episcopal Church of South Sudan and Sudan call on South Sudanese to reflect on the resurrection of Jesus Christ and use it to embrace peace and unity in the country.
As in this country, we had wanted these days for fasting, charity, and prayer because we want to obtain from God the gift of justice, reconciliation, and peace, which we are so much in need of in our country today. I am here to tell you that this period of 40 days is ended. It has ended on the 18th of May of April 2014. So this period has ended. We are expecting with the faith from God that indeed He will give us the gift of justice, reconciliation, and peace. And this is because now we are celebrating the feast of Easter, the greatest feast of our Christian faith. My brother, is a very great feast. Easter is a feast which tells us that God has risen from death.
The clergies urge the faithful to respect Christian doctrines and pray for justice.
And in our church, we are suffering and we are dying. One aspect is that we should have now to stop suffering and to die, for sure. But the other aspect is that of the resurrection itself. This is the great message as well, to tell us in South Sudan that the problems, the sufferings, and the death that we are undergoing now in this moment, which we want to stop, and we want that it is enough now to suffer and it is enough to die, nonetheless.
Of Reformed Episcopal Church of South Sudan, the Most Reverend Gabriel Rorich echoed similar sentiment on behalf of his denomination, calling on the warring parties to respect life for peace to prevail in the country.
Today is a very important day for the entire Christians in the world and especially in the southern Sudan. The Reformed Episcopal Church extends its congratulations to all the Christians for the occasion of the Easter of this year. And this is a message of hope for peace for all of us. This year has become one of the problems in the history of our nation.
The church leaders urge the regional body IGAD to expedite the peace mediation process between the government of South Sudan and rebels of Riek Machar in a bid to end the political dispute in the country, rejecting U.S. decision to put sanctions against South Sudan.
Today is a very important day for the entire Christians in the world and especially in the southern Sudan. The Reformed Episcopal Church extends its congratulations to all the Christians for the occasion of the Easter of this year. And this is a message of hope for peace for all of us. This year has become one of the problems in the history of our nation. By the events which took place on the 15th of December this year, when Dr. Riek Machar staged a coup, which he had made a lot of messes, killing and innocent people.
Good Friday and churches in Juba are fully prepared for the Sunday services, a day Christians believe Jesus resurrected from death, setting mankind free from sin. Yet Patrick, SSTV News.
The Chinese government on Friday donated $8.5 million through the office of the President of the Republic, General Salva Kiir Mayardit. The donation is meant for humanitarian assistance to South Sudan. The Chinese ambassador to South Sudan, Mark Yang, reiterated his government commitment to support the IGAD-mediated negotiation to bring lasting peace in the country. Speaking at the handing over ceremony of the donation, the minister in the office of the President, Awan Golriak, urged China to use its influence in the region to help end the conflict in South Sudan.
On many things that are regarding also developmental projects in the country. We will try to move. We will not stop these projects. And this is what I just got also from our ambassador, who is here in Juba. Shortly, I think he will be also making efforts of seeing what his government could do in this crisis that we have just encountered recently. With these few remarks, I'm happy to give him the chance to explain a bit.
We call upon the two sides of conflicts as soon as possible back to the peace talk table and respect the COH agreement. It means as soon as possible ceasefire and start peace talk.
As peace and security prevails in most parts of Upper Nile, the state governor Simon Kun Poch returned to Malakal on Thursday. Governor Kun, who has been in Juba, appreciated the SPLA forces for liberating the town from the forces of insurgency. The governor reiterated his call to the local population to return to their respective homes. He appealed to the rebel group to consider the interests of the nation first and urged the rebels to lay down their weapons and accept peace.
Arrival from Juba, maybe for a month away from Malakal town. And I'm here today. I'm also very happy that I'm with our forces commanded by Lieutenant General Johnson Gongbiliu. I congratulate the SPLA forces for liberating this town. It's a very important town, very strategic town. And also with our ministers who have been here running up and down, making people comfortable, that South is there, the government is there, and that the state also is there, and our forces are there. And I hope, you know, this is actually the last for the rebels really to come back to Malakal. We will make sure that Malakal is not taken away by the rebels as far as we are here today with our forces. And I hope we will go and actually, you know, strengthen our forces across the states and talk to them that this is a defense of our constitution and that we must actually see that this country is independent and that the government, the elected government is there and that we must go through a process, a democratic process, a democratic way of doing it, and that we really, you know, see that those who are away, who are fighting us today, they must come back and take the country into a developmental program, a development stage, a new nation, because the war is over. We fought for 21 years. It is over, and now it is development. Now it is us really to sit and see that we must develop our nation, a nation we fought for a very long time, and so that our people are settled, schools are built, hospitals are built, and then also food security is done, and that South Sudan has to be in peace.
The National Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Agri-Tisa Sabuni, returned to Juba after attending a stakeholders meeting organized by the World Bank in the U.S. Speaking to South Sudan television at the airport, Tisa said the meeting also discussed World Bank's support to the people of South Sudan following the political turmoil in the country.
With a number of American governments, including the State Department, the Treasury, USAID, where we also reviewed their programs with us. We had similar meetings with the British, particularly the EFID, with the Dutch, and with the Danes and the Norwegians about their aid programs to South Sudan, which can be done under the current circumstances and which can be converted for humanitarian discussions. We also discussed a number of issues with the professional bodies and notable non-governmental organizations who are also interested in South Sudan. It was a meeting, it was a trip that was worthwhile. It helped for the two sides, that is South Sudan and the development partners, to understand each other well, talking face to face. They hear our concerns and our plans for bringing peace to the country.
The government of Warab State has pledged to support farmers to increase food production. The State Minister of Agriculture, Majok Bol Kur, is in Juba to follow up agricultural inputs for farmers in the region. Tech Stephen has more on the story.
The Warab State Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Tourism, Cooperatives and Rural Development, Majok Bol Kur, is in Juba to follow up on the Food Security Council launched on the 16th of April by the President General Salva Kiir Mayardit. Majok Bol said the steps taken by the President to ensure the country is food secure by 2014 is highly welcomed by the people of Warab State. He further added that the government of Warab State has declared Friday, Saturday and Sunday every week during this rainy season as Cultivation Day to compensate last year's flood which devastated the agricultural sector in the state.
I'm here in Juba on a follow-up issues, and issues are concerning the agriculture. And we started in Warab this year a little bit earlier to launch the season for the agriculture. And why I'm saying we started early, because last year we received some of the seeds late in August and we had to store those ones. And now the rainy season has started early in Warab, and we have distributed those seeds.
On his keynote address during the launching of the Food Security Council, the President said he will work hard to ensure the country is food secure and that he will assist farmers throughout the country by providing tractors, ox plows, seeds, fertilizers and other agricultural materials to see the country conquer hunger.
Because South Sudan has a huge natural resources potential, increased agricultural production represents the best opportunity not only to address food and nutrition security, but also to produce surpluses for related industries and export to regional markets.
2014 is the year envisioned by the government to declare South Sudan as food secure nation, capable of feeding itself and producing surplus food for export. For SSTV, Tech Stephen.
Hundreds of youth in Capoeira town of eastern Equatorial State have launched general cleanliness campaign on Thursday under the theme Keep Your Environment Clean. The sanitary campaign brought together youth from all walks of life, including government officials, NGOs, to clean the town, which was choked up with heaps of rubbish. Edel Stephen has more on their story.
As the saying goes, a healthy mind is in a healthy body. In the same way, a healthy body needs a healthy surrounding. To live by the scientific words, hundreds of youths in Capueta County of Eastern Equatoria have launched general cleaners in Capueta town under the theme, Keep Your Environment Clean. The sanitary exercise brought together youths from all walks of life, including government officials, non-governmental organizations, and business community, with deep concern to free the town that has been choked up by heaps of rubbish. Addressing the multitude of youths in the town, the Commissioner of Capueta East, Martin Lorica, advised the residents of the town to manage the non-biodegradable waste in a proper manner to reduce the frequent outbreak of diseases among them.
عشان كده لازم البيت بتاعه يكون نظيف، لازم يكون فيه بخانه. معنا دار البيت بتاعه كله يكون نظيف، والطاون بتاعه بيكون نظيف. فيا جماعه زي ما كبير الطاون كلام كتير في الطاون كلام كلميني. والرئيس بتاع التجار كلم كبير كلام مهمني ثم هذا لوري وقفني نجيب لوري من كاونتي عشان يجي سايد.
Lorica encourages the civil community to use dust bins to collect the waste materials, saying a healthy body needs a healthy surrounding. And the representative of SNF, a non-governmental organization tasked with sanitary program in Capueta County, Mr. John Anamas, said the organization is supporting the move by providing tools which are used for cleaning the town. He also appeals to the locals of Capueta to implement the initiative to minimize health-related hazards among them. Furthermore, the representative of the youth in the state, Oye Dominic Williams, says the yoke of keeping the towns in the state clean lies in the hands of the youth because they are the majority living in urban areas.
And when I've seen Capueta's house is not so dirty, but when you reach Omolinga market, the one demolished of recent, brothers and sisters and mothers, it was worse until even some of us were fearing we shall be get by other diseases like cholera.
Dominic confirms the youth's readiness to carry general cleaners across all the counties of the state to ensure health reigns in the state. This exercise shows that the citizens, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, can help create barriers towards the outbreak of deadly maladies. Reporting for SSTV News in Juba, I am Eddie Stephen.
A regional drive to expedite development in the rural homes is underway in some parts of eastern Equatorial State. Intellectuals from the region flag off a peace initiative dubbed as Kuron Peace Village to help the locals embrace the national call for peace and development. James Arusi reports.
The region of Capueta shelters the highest rate of illiteracy in the country. Development has been miles away from this area. Intellectuals with the support of well-wishers stepped in to ensure change gradually begins in this great region. Change to live in peace and a way of life is the major objective of Kuron Peace Village. Funded by Bishop Paride Taban, the initiative aimed to improve agricultural methods, coexistence, and health services in the region.
What I've seen in Kuron Peace Village is now the men are also coming up to pick up in the farming. So these groups have even men. That is the advantage. And what we are trying to tell them is because their main crop they depend on is sorghum. But now things like cassava, sweet potatoes, and many other vegetables and beans are introduced to them.
The exemplary groups are already put in. Over 40 groups raised are to act as a foundation of change in this great region. Many people are now said to be gradually copying activities in the centers to better their lives.
So the community are invited to come and see. They also test. Sometimes, like the cassava, it is boiled, they test, it is good. Okay, then take the stock and try. And for the potatoes also, it is first they are invited, you test. Even the dried one. Even the vegetables, some are dried and given to them, try. So I think first they try and then they find, oh, it is good. So they go for it.
Such initiatives and sacrifice is what the country yearns for. If the nation is to yield progress in attaining the Millennium Development Goal benchmark by 2015. James Arusatanga, SSTV.
The SPLM National Secretariat contributed food and non-food items to the internally displaced persons and orphans within Juba City. The SPLM Secretary for Social Welfare, Noura Zangabeyo, assures her party's commitment to restore lasting peace in the country.
الو SPLM لانه نحن وجودنا هنا ما قاعدين عشان نحن ما عندنا حكومه. اول ناس رفعوا كراو هنا للناس انيتو رأي الاجتماعي. اول زول رفعوا كراو هنا دي رأي الاجتماعيه وجاب الحركه الشعبيه نفس الوقت. فمواطن الموجود هنا جاب الحركه الشعبيه كما انتم تعلمون وانتم تعلمون عشان كده انتم وجاكم هنا تجيبوا حاجات دي. شيء انا داير اذكره لكم الشكر بتاعنا ما بيخلص وما انا اقول لكم اكثر لانه كل ما تلقى زول بيخدم في زوله ما بقول له شكرا لانه ده زوله هو داير به شكرا لشنو في النهايه هو بيخدم في زوله عشان بكره.
وما بقدر طالع وزير وما بقدر طالع استاذ وما بقدر طالع سكرتير زي انا وما تاكم ده. فانا قورلتكم في ايد ده نبيسلي عشان تاكم وانتم كمان بيسلي لانه معكم ابونا ده ضحى بحياتهم بيمثل اسرتكم عشان تكون مهم. لو انتم مهم ابونا زده ما بيكونين.
A team of young family from All Saint Cathedral Church in Juba has donated food items to the needy at El Sabah Children's Hospital. Speaking to South Sudan television, the women representative expressed their solidarity with the needy, encouraging them to mark Easter with joy.
Therefore, we are standing now here to pretend that we are give a small gift for our children here. So it's a sign of love that we are loving them. So we give them this small thing. Let God protect them. Let God heal them. Let God give them the capacity and capability that they can raise up and they will build our nation to be in peace. And so there, we ask all the people who are outside of South Sudan, may you pray for our nation. May you pray for our